John Carter.
Mr Speaker, one can't help but reflect on the fact that the role of the opposition is to oppose and propose. You know, all we've heard today is the opposed bit. I haven't heard one good idea from any of the contributions made by the members of the opposition. What a disappointment. Here they had an opportunity of actually setting out their thoughts for what should happen to Auckland. They should be saying to the people of Auckland, this is where we think Auckland needs to be, but not one mention. All they could do is whinge and whine and actually tell us things that people have said in the past, not about what they're now saying as we presented the third bill to them. Mr Speaker, as my colleague, the Honourable Rodney Hyde, has noted, this bill completes the legislative framework that will deliver Auckland a single, unified council. Well done. This reform is all about enhancing the effectiveness of community participation in democracy while ensuring the council has strong, effective, regional decision-making ability, essentially so it can get things done. It delivers a system of local government that provides the framework to make Auckland into a world-class city and allows for greater economic development, which is a must for both the future of the city and the rest of New Zealand. For 50 years, indeed 100 years, Mr Speaker, Auckland has struggled to find a way through the conflict between regional and local issues. The previous government acknowledged this and created the Royal Commission on Auckland Governance to consider it. However, since receiving the Royal Commission's report, this government, with the support of a range of officials, has actually got the job done and delivered a solution that is now complete. That has been, I'm pleased to say, well received in Auckland. The work done to get the bill here today has been impressive, Mr Speaker. It shows clearly the government's determination to do what needs to be done to give Auckland as a city they want now and in the future. The government did not wait until the election of 2013 or 16 or 19. It acted. The action means the single Auckland Council will be up and running by the 1st of November this year. Up and running, Mr Speaker. To achieve this, the Auckland Governance Legislative Committee engaged with Auckland citizens, ratepayers, local authorities and organisations. Mr Speaker, I'm very pleased, indeed proud to say, that Aucklanders' voices have shaped this legislation. All told, there were nearly 1,000 submissions on the bill. I thank the committee for its work. I also wish to thank the staff supporting the Select Committee, including Edward Seabird, Leanne O'Brien, Amanda Cliff, Vathany Shavanandan, Michelle Reardon and their teams. They did a great job. I've also got to say special thanks, as the Minister has, to the Department of Internal Affairs for all the work and staff support they've put into this bill. I also need to recognise the Auckland Transitional Agency, Mr Speaker. They must be thanked for their significant contribution for implementing the reforms and for the work that is still ongoing. In particular, I would like to thank the Minister of Local Government, the Honourable Rodney Hyde, Mr Speaker, for his leadership and for his drive to get this legislation through, so Aucklanders can have what they wanted, a unified city. Thank you, Rodney. I know that most of the members of the Auckland Governance Legislation Committee took their duties seriously and worked long and hard analysing submissions on the bill, and I thank them for their contribution for making the actual job, which was rather large, as pleasurable as we worked our way forward. I must say, however, it's unfortunate that towards the end the Labor Party members became so disinterested in the Select Committee that they actually missed some of the important decisions. It came as a surprise to them that we'd opened up the CCOs to public. It came as a surprise to them that we'd changed the Transport Committee. Well, actually, funnily enough, they were, but it seemed that they missed what was going on in the Select Committee. Well, I guess that seems to happen. Overall, Mr Speaker, the recommendations the Select Committee has brought back to this House, I believe, are positive and beneficial to this legislation. Even the opposition, I'm pleased to say, have said so, and certainly the media thought so. Well, there we go. Well, I'm not sure that's actually in the bill, but we could slip it in an SOP. Mr. Speaker, so even the opposition and the media have thought that the changes are positive. The Select Committee set out to address community concerns, and from the feedback from many commentators I've received, I believe the Select Committee has succeeded in that mission. The Select Committee focus on this bill covered many aspects, in particular increasing the accountability of Council's operations, particularly in relation to Council-controlled organisations, and providing more assurance around the powers and funding that local boards will have in the new city structure. Some submitters wanted to see the responsibility of local boards set out in the bill so that there was greater clarity and certainty about their roles and functions. The issue was covered by the Select Committee last year when considering the local government bill. The Select Committee at that time rightly believed that an approach based on principles would give greater flexibility to the Auckland Council to adapt the functions of the local boards to suit specific local needs and preferences as the Auckland Council saw fit. Therefore, the Auckland Council will be more responsive to changes in community preferences than if they were bound by a statutory regime created by this Parliament. It is not for us in Wellington, Mr. Speaker, to tell Aucklanders what to do at the local level. Indeed, we didn't have the knowledge or the ability to do so. The Government remains convinced this is the best way forward. The Committee has recommended an approach that will achieve clarity and certainty many submitters were looking for, while still allowing the Council and its local boards to make their own decisions. Now, Mr. Speaker, what's wrong with allowing Aucklanders to make decisions for themselves? The Committee recommends that the bill should be amended to provide for an initial allocation of non-regulatory decision-making responsibility for local boards by the Auckland Transitional Agency, and that they be given legal status. The ATA allocations, which have been prepared in consultation with Auckland councils and citizens, will be published before the October local body elections. Any minor changes can be negotiated and agreed between Auckland Council and the local boards when the 2012 long-term community plan is developed. The amendment will allow the new council to add responsibilities of local boards, but not to reduce those responsibilities without full consultation with citizens in the course of developing the LTCCP. Mr. Speaker, as a consequence, local boards have functions, have funding and have certainty. Mr. Speaker, I want to also just refer to the CCOs and say that again this government heard the concerns of the people. So as a consequence, Mr. Speaker, not only did we say we will only appoint in consultation with the mayors of Auckland, the directors of the first 5 directors out of the 7, and allow the Auckland Council to appoint the chairman and the deputy chair, but actually we also said that from day one, if the council wishes to from the 1st of November, they can change all the directors if that is their decision. Secondly, we have now opened up the CCOs to public scrutiny. So unlike the suggestions that these are unaccountable groups, Mr. Speaker, the public can attend the meetings, they can make questions, the council, if they require, can ask them to report on a monthly basis if they so wish. The fact is that what we have done is put the CCOs in the hands of the Mayor and the Council of Auckland, Mr. Speaker. As the public asked us to do, we have followed their wishes. Window dressing. It needs to... well, the member says window dressing. Well, the fact is that the Mayor and the councillors are in charge of the CCOs, so if that's window dressing, great. That's exactly what the people asked us to do. It needs to be understood that to ensure Aucklanders are in control, the structure we have set up from day one is entirely in the hands of the Council, and the Council can decide whether the regime of CCOs continues or not, and that's their decision as well, Mr. Speaker. It's for Aucklanders to decide. Ultimately, the Select Committee recommendations mean that Auckland Council control over substantive CCOs will be significantly greater than any other council. So, Mr. Speaker, in finishing, can I just say, when the Prime Minister remarked the price of doing nothing is far too high, not